welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. And as we say every week, we got a lot more to go, and and it's all good. So just sit back and relax on the Bobby Dupre Show. And if you want to see it later on, get to your computer, and we archive them, and they're in there for many years, maybe, I don't know, maybe years.
Yep, and then it's Sunday at 3 p.m. if you're watching us live on Thursdays at 7 a.m.
That's correct. And coming up on April the 20th, which is right around the corner from now, but 3 more Saturdays from now, right here at Evangeline Downs. That's April the 20th. That's going to be the Chad Broussard promotion. I'll be producing some more boxing, professional boxing matches. He packs the place up every fight. The last boxing matches that were held, Mr. Marion Harmon and his young son Keith were in attendance, and I don't know if Mr. Harmon didn't feel well enough to want to get in the ring himself.
Oh, he's in good shape. Sure, he's only 93 or 94.
Yeah, that's all. Young fella.
Young fella.
Young kid. Still driving, I might add. Boy.
Keith Aber had his little weekly mass over at Richard LaFleur's office at Guarantee Glass. And we went and we had a meal and all, and Mr. Marion was there. And boy, he talked about you. And he said, "You get Bobby to come." I said, "Well, Bobby had a meeting in Baton Rouge this afternoon. I knew he wasn't going to make it."
That was the reason. That's correct. Yeah. And then on May 11th, Chad Broussard will be having some big matches over at the Baton Rouge Bell Casino. So Chad is really hitting it on all 8 cylinders right now. He's a lively young man, and
he knows everybody in boxing because he's boxed with them, he's boxed against them, he's had the same promoters.
And he's improved his quality of matching. He's matched up his good fighters with some good opponents. At first they were bringing in guys that were going out in the first round. That's not very interesting.
Got to have competition.
You have to have competition, and then to get your boxers to the next level, they have to fight somebody almost as good as them, and occasionally they lose a fight, but that doesn't slow them down. Right. They go back and they watch it, and that's how I got so good when I was in high school. Yeah, if we'd have just had a camera. But you know, I'm told that Mr. Golly, he had filmed them. C.J. Ryder and Bubba Daniel. Mr. Bubba Daniel had filmed some of our matches, and I don't know what happened. They tell me when they moved the school from Market Street over to the new high school,
a lot of things got lost.
A lot of things got lost, misplaced. They probably in some kind of box somewhere. Boy, that would be fun to see the Bobby Dupre of that day at 100 pounds, and then made a comeback 4 years later. I made a comeback. You know, I'm talking always about these pros.
You like George Foreman, you come back from retirement?
I came back from retirement in my senior year. From the 8th grade, I boxed at 100, and in 12th grade, I was at 155. I weighed about 147. I had to weigh in with my clothes and everything to weigh over that.
Bricks in your pockets.
Yeah, that's correct. Anyhow, let's get on to.
Oh, yeah, let's get some sponsors. Let's finish them up.
More
Steamboat
sponsors.
Warehouse. Get Mama away from the smell of her own cooking. You know, after Easter's over, which is this Sunday, you're going to want to get Mama out and let her take a little bite to eat and relax. And once the family and friends are gone, take her out to Steamboat. Try some of that great seafood there, the crawfish etouffee, the shrimp Betsy, the stuffed filet catfish, the crawfish palmetta. All excellent, excellent stuff. You know, shrimp Betsy's those big old shrimp sauteed with the olive oil and herbs, and it's got that French bread to go with it. So good. Great steaks there as well. Adult libations and wine selection. That is Steamboat Warehouse in Washington. Tell chef owner Jason Huguet we said hi.
You have one more?
And one more. I got Sears, where America shops. If you buy more, you can save more. Right now they're having a big sale. You get 10% off that first appliance. You get an additional 15% when you buy an additional appliance. Go up to 20% when you buy 4 appliances. So if you go by, don't forget about Sears for your appliances. You know, they've got those great Kenmore appliances, everything from your ovens to your refrigerators, your washer and dryer. You can get the set because they got good financing right now. They can get it just right for you. Go by and see Sears, and don't forget about them for all the lawn care stuff right now. They've got a pile of rotting mowers. They got a pile of push mowers. That little cold weather this week's not going to keep that grass down for long. You're going to go out there and get to work, and they got those nice little cabinets, those nice plastic cabinets you can put all your stuff in, little flat roofs. You can put your hoses, and even your push mower will fit inside those things. Go by, see Sears here in Opelousas.
Charles Cummins went by and bought himself a nice assortment of tools for his workshop.
Craftsman tools. How can you go wrong?
You can't go wrong. Do they still guarantee those? Remember they used to have
It's got a great guarantee. I don't know if it's as long as the old guarantee was, but you still got a very long guarantee on it still.
Cops and Kids. We talk occasionally about Sheriff Bobby Guitro's Cops and Kids, and of course it takes money to operate a program like that. I'll get it out. A program like that. And he is having his second annual golf tournament. And all the money that is raised goes to the Cops and Kids golf tournament. It doesn't go to his campaign for re-election. And that is going to be on April the 8th at Indian Hills Country Club. A shotgun start from 8 a.m. And then again, the second round will be at 1 p.m. The limit is 72 teams.
And
so
they get a lot of people there, so you better go early and get your registration done.
That's correct. And then we'll talk about Earl Taylor. His annual is also coming up on April the 18th, right after this one here. This is on the 8th, 10 days later, on a Thursday. Earl Taylor will have his classic. So two fundraisers. And of course, Earl's is also not for himself.
Right.
It's for
the Boys and Girls Club, the Navy Junior ROTC.
Yeah, he's got a name.
Over at Opelousas Catholic,
he's got a name for it. I'll get it somewheres here. Now, Bobby, you're not.
Earl Taylor
Earl
Cares.
Taylor Cares.
You got it.
Earl Taylor Cares Incorporated, and that's a 501c, and so you can deduct your donations that you make, and the Cops and Kids is also a 501c.
Can't go wrong.
And you can donate and write that off on your income taxes that you pay each year if you're a working person or if you're getting some checks.
And you're going to see a guy just like Tiger Woods over there named Mr. Mesh over there. Tell him I said hi when you go. Looks just like Tiger Woods, huh, Mr. Mesh.
Mr. Don Mesh?
Yeah, he looks just like Tiger Woods on the golf course.
Oh, yeah. I don't, he doesn't play.
Mr. Mesh. How about your obituaries? Because we're down to the last 5 or 6
well, the
minutes.
obituaries is kind of short, very light,
that's a good sign.
and that's a good sign. Last week,
We talked about Keonk.
we talked about him about in the China Ball Club. Well, okay, I kind of thought we had, but I hadn't made my little mark that I make. I never did show them that little mark.
That's trademark.
That's a trademark. That's correct. But a young man that was a little younger than me, 68 years old, by the name of Sandy McLeod. He was Lieutenant Colonel Milton Alexander, better known as Sandy McLeod of Opelousas, Louisiana. This is where he was born, right there in Church Point, but his mother was a Cherokee. And he grew up here in Opelousas, graduated from Opelousas High, and attended Louisiana Tech before graduating from LSU. He was a big Tiger fan, and at age 68, after quite a long illness is what I understand, and I learned about it right after he died. A text message came in on Jim Lopez's phone, and of course he and Jim knew each other very, very well, and apparently was just a super nice guy. While at the Elks Monday night, a person that knew him very well and was in touch with him throughout their lives, Frankie Elder. Of course, Frankie Elder, when you say Frankie Elder, you think of the Steamboat Warehouse Restaurant. And of course, then you really think back of the person who had the good foresight to see that location as being something special, and that was Mr. Jack Womack. And Jack started it, and then along came Frankie, and then when Frankie felt he should retire, he passed the mantle on to Jason Hugay, he still looks like a kid.
Looks like a kid.
Oh, he's going to be looking
That's
for
why the
us.
girls like him.
Yeah, there you go. So our deepest sympathies on the death of Sandy McLeod. A person that they said if I would have seen him in person, I would have known him.
You got it.
And then, let's see, we got that out of the way. There was one more item that I picked up in the Bon Nouvelle, and it's my grandmother's buttons. And there was a young lady recently that was young person was getting ready to get married, and she said she was not going to use flowers. She was going to use some buttons to make the
bouquet?
Yeah, the bouquet. And she said she was wondering where she could get them, and Miss Loise Thompson, which later became the wife of Mr. Herring Darbone, says, well, I inherited some. It was from a family, maybe her great-grandmother had a big box of she was a seamstress. Back in those days, somebody in the family had to sew most of the clothes that they wore, men and women.
You had to have at least one in the family.
One in the family. And she had saved this box of buttons. She went to looking for the buttons, found the buttons, and what was in that box but a Purple Heart.
Really?
A Purple Heart medal. And they would have never known about it if that subject of the buttons being needed, and they went back and found out.
And it doesn't have the person's name on it, I don't think, when you get the medal, so they don't know who the
Well, they found out. Don't realize.
Lois's husband, Harry.
Harry.
There you go. So it was her husband's medal with the buttons.
Right.
No kidding.
Yep. So anyhow, quite an interesting. If y'all don't get this little newspaper, you really need to, because there's a lot of I don't know, they had cameras back in those days. We didn't have cameras in Play Zone, so I can tell you. And it's true. You know, we just didn't.
We didn't have that either. How
about this?
I was the third kid where we didn't have cameras. That means there's no pictures of me as a child.
How about Tiger Woods?
Back on top.
Back on top.
That's why I was kidding a while ago about Mr. Mash. Back on top.
Yep.
Out there at the golf course.
That's right.
But,
he'll be busy on that Earl Taylor
and shaking hands.
And Bobby Gitros. He's a big fan of Bobby Gitros also.
But
anybody can wakeboard. What about this? This is an interesting article. I'd like to go by and water sports enthusiasts set to open a local cable wake park.
You gonna go wakeboarding?
No, I'm not gonna go wakeboarding. I don't swim well enough for that. In fact, I don't swim at all.
You ever water skied?
Oh, I water skied. I put on a belt, you know, most of them. Then I put on a jacket.
That way you pop like a cork.
Just like a cork. I pop, and I said, hurry back and pick me up. And had a lot of fun. The late Pucci Plonsky and had a boat that he was loaned, and we used it. It was a young man that was the manager at National Food Store, and he must have left the boat behind, and we got to use it. I guess somebody came and picked it up. Pucci's deceased now. He can't answer that question, but we had fun back in those days. Water sports enthusiasts, and that's going to be right north of I-10. And we'll come back and take a picture.
Over in Olsen. There's your prayer book right there.
There's my prayer book right here. Down to the wire. Each weekend.
Happy Easter, for sure.
Very happy Easter. Pock those eggs. And please attend the church of your choice this weekend, especially this is one of the largest. There's 3 special days in the year. Tell what you talk, and I'll get my
Christmas and Easter for sure.
Okay. And then our little prayer. Eternal God, I thank you for the gift to choose. Help me to make the right choice this weekend and every weekend. Have a nice time. And Andrew, I want to thank you. And we want to thank Ed Roy for being our special guest today.